When you started writing your novel, you had a vision for what you wanted your book to be. And you went along as your characters took you on a journey. But now you realize you are completely off track of where you wanted to be. And you're having a little trouble finding your way back. In today's video, I'm sharing 3 steps that you can take easily to get back on track when things have gone completely off the rails. Hi, my name is Jennifer Gregson, and I'm a tarot book coach who helps writers get past the muddy middle, especially when they're totally stuck, so that they can get back on track and type the end, all with a smile on their face. I see you. You were writing along, doing everything you were supposed to do, and then you realized you were completely off track, and now you're panicking, and you haven't written in a while. I can understand that is completely frustrating, and you're starting to wonder if you're ever going to get to write again. I'm here to tell you you are, and there are some very, very easy steps that look overwhelming when you look at them, but are very easily doable if you take them one step at a time. First, I want you to stop and assess. You can do this in a couple of different ways. You can reread what you've already written, and while you do that, you can just bullet point what has happened from the beginning to where you got stuck. You can just sort of think about where you've been on this journey and where you were trying to go and jot it down. You can just sort of take an assessment of where you are in your feelings right now about what you've written. How do you feel about where you are? How do you feel about where you were trying to go originally? So first, just stop and assess. And I want you to think about 3 focal points. What has already happened in your novel, where you thought you were going when you originally planned, and your ending. Now, the ending can be either the ending you pre-planned or the ending you think you want to use now. So we're going to do that second point, where you are right now. And I want you to see how far off track you actually are. Are you a little bit, maybe take a chapter or 2 to get back? Or are you so far off that you can't even see where you originally were? How much work is it going to be to get back on track? Question 1. Question 2, do you want to get back on track? Do you like where you are? Do you like what the characters have brought to you? Or do you like the original plan? There's no wrong answer here. There's just how you're feeling about your novel in this moment. Now that we have gathered all this information, and this may take a couple of writing sessions, don't burn yourself out here. Do this over time. At least you're getting back into the writing mode, you're getting back into the world of your story, and you are going to get momentum just by doing these little tiny steps. But you don't have to sit down and do this all in one day, because it can be very overwhelming. So now that you have all of this information, I want you to look at that 3rd focal point, your ending. Again, do you like where you were? Do you like what you have planned? Do you want to pre-plan a new ending based on what you've decided for where you are right now? Once you have that ending and you know kind of where you are, I want you to just big picture view, put some bullet points to get you from point A to point B, where you are right now to where you want to go. I'm not talking about big detailed outlines here, just bullet points, sort of stepping stones upon a path to get you back on track. So for example, you got stuck, but you really like where you are, but it's going to completely derail your ending. So you decided a new ending. You've made a whole new ending. So your old plan, your old outline, all those notes you had aren't going to work anymore. But instead of doing all that work, I literally just want bullet points, right? Alice tells Margot about the baby. Margot gets jealous and hatches a plan to steal the baby from the hospital. Okay, that's like totally crazy soap opera, but it could be in your book, right? That's what I'm talking about. Bullet points, bullet points, bullet points. Okay, so I hear you saying, that's great, but what do I do? I'm so far off track. Everything I've written so far is not going to make any sense. How do I keep going toward the ending I now have planned. This is the beauty step. This is the thing that helps you. Take 1 or 2 writing sessions and just write in your document. That's what I suggest, but you can also do this in a separate document if you're really, really, strict about keeping story versus not story and you want to separate those out. You could start another document. I like to do this in the document. I usually change the font size or the font style or the color. And I basically just write out everything that should have already happened as far as I know. So if I forget her character name now that I made up, but if she's pregnant and she's telling her best friend about the pregnancy, then she needs to have met somebody or have had a boyfriend or a guy in her life to make the baby, right? So do I have that character or not? Have they ever, if I do have that character, have they ever interacted in the novel up till now? If they haven't, I need to just sort of write that down, right? So I think her name was Alice. So Derek and Alice meet up. I needed a chapter where that happens. Before that, they probably should have done X, Y, and Z. Before that, they probably should have done X, Y, and Z. That's kind of how you do that. And you just sort of pre-build backwards a little bit. I would do this more than bullets. You could start bullets, but then I would write paragraphs, or you could literally start from there and start the book and take out the chapters that don't work and put them in a separate file. And finally, I have a tip for you. As you're writing, as you're moving along, you're moving and grooving, you're back on track, things are going to come up. New ideas are going to spur things that you needed to have done earlier. Put that in as a note. You can either put it back into that other document if you created a separate document. I personally like to use brackets and bold text and say, note, before this happens, I need to address something, right? And just put that in the document exactly where you are. When you come back after your first draft and you're ready for revisions, those are notes to yourself. They're going to be so helpful when you're redesigning your draft. This is why first drafts are messy. They're not going to be linear. They're not going to make a ton of sense all the time. And you're going to have new ideas as you go that are going to affect previous chapters. And that is what the beauty of author notes, what I like to call it, are. They're notes to yourself. They're notes to your future revising self. I hope this has given you the confidence to know that you can stop, you can assess where you are, you can figure out how far off track you've actually gotten, because sometimes we get so in our head, but then when we look at it on paper, we're really not that far off. Or we really, really like where we actually are, and it's okay to let some of our pre-planned ideas go. So it's okay to take that assessment, gather that information, and then figure out a new plan a little bit more loosey-goosey maybe, so that we have the beauty to discover new ideas. And by using the tips of author notes, a separate document where you keep all those ideas of what should have happened, the things you're going to need to deal with during revisions, and know that you can get back on track exactly where you are, is magical. So now that you've seen that you can get back on track, I would really, really love it if you checked out my other videos, 3 ways to get out of that muddy middle. It'll be in the cards, also in the description box below. I will be making new videos pretty much throughout the rest of the year, and I hope you click subscribe and join me on this writing journey.